Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Mike with smartoptiontrading.com. It is Sunday, the 19th of July. This is my week ahead video. We're going to do kind of an in-depth dive here on things. Normally, we do charts on Sunday. It is Duke's fourth birthday, so I have a lot going on today. So we're just going to do a video. I'm going to put this out there for free. The link in the description. If you guys like to join our live trading room, we'd love to have you. So let's talk about it. We're going into this week. The markets remains in a pullback. We've been in a pullback for over a month. Economically, we have nothing really going on here. There's no needle movers this week. It's very quiet. Yeah, you have your jobless numbers every week. Nobody cares. New home sales. These are not going to move the markets. PMI flash composite, same thing. There's no Fed speak. Why? Well, it's the Fed blackout period. Shows you what I know. I forgot that was coming up already. Going to the 2 weeks quiet, believe it or not. But where things do get busy and interesting is earnings season. Earnings season kicks it up another notch this week as we start introducing some tech names and other names in here. For those of you got the care, you got Domino's and AMC on Monday morning, but really Tuesday morning things start to heat up with 3M, Schwab, GM is in there, Halliburton, you got Northrop Grumman. Tuesday night, nobody really grabs my attention. A lot of names reporting. Wednesday morning, we'll get a look at GE Verona. AT&T is in there, but it's really Wednesday night. This is where I'll be staying late with you guys. We have Tesla and Google's now, IBM pre-announced, Texas Instruments, QuantumScape's in there, Southwest Airlines, a lot of names coming at us. Thursday morning, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Honeywell, right? So, continue there, that whole type of move there. Thursday night, Intel, huge, right? Want to see it. That's the first of the really big semis I'm going to hear a report. And then on Friday morning, you get when American Express, Verizon, Schlumberger, and Nano Nuclear Energy. As we go into this week and we take a look at sentiment, we're seeing some changes take place. So you see this negative drop here on the NASDAQ. We're now negative 133. That means we are slightly oversold on the NASDAQ, but nowhere near 80, kind of overdone. The S&P 500 New York Stock Exchange is just negative 10. So we just have a very big divergence there. Your advanced decline lines continue to show that. Look at the drop in NDX here and the NASDAQ where everything else is kind of holding in. Highs versus lows on the S&P 500, 144 versus 16. Number of stocks making highs versus lows, that's very strong. The NASDAQ, however, 146 versus negative 280 is inverted. Put the call, neutral, doesn't do much lately, and market breadth, lead turned down now. We've broken down here on the NASDAQ, whereas we're just off the all-time high and holding strong on the New York Stock Exchange. So again, it's a tale of two markets here. You look at the ES, and we talked about this wedge, and we broke it to the downside. We tried to break out, now we broke it down, but we held the 50-day into the close. And this is huge. Do we hold here or not? Because if not, then we start looking down towards 740, and then all the way down here into the 730.55 area and pick up this low right here on this candle. That low there is 730, 73.57.25 for what it's worth. So, big week ahead. Do we hold? Do we break lower or not? Right? And we've been kind of in this pullback, not much going on. The Qs look worse, and the Qs have been getting hit much harder. Okay. They've broken down. We're almost already back to last month's lows, the June lows. So very big different tail. Crude continues to say it's not happy, but it's not rocketing here over the ongoing military action and war, whatever you want to call it, over going on in Iran. Bonds a little off the lows on Friday, but didn't hold. Gold, silver, they're not hiding here. Bitcoin couldn't hold that 65 break, but came back up. That's good to see. The VIX is saying, well, I don't know. Not much going on here, but it is up a little bit. The bands are opening up, but it's still under 20. You definitely have to keep an eye on that this week. HYG, nothing going on. The transport's new all-time highs and holding it, and the dollar overall sideways. So we look at the S&P 500 this week and say, what's going to lead us? The biggest problem we have in this market is we've lost leadership. We've had the banks lead, we've had biotech lead, and obviously we've had the semis in that trade leading, and now none of it's leading. So the question is what's going to give us leadership? If you have no leadership, markets generally don't do well. We can hold in or whatever, but we have no leadership. When you look at the SPY, we closed under the 50-day, and the SPY is saying that there's some problems here at this point. We're under the 50-day. This potentially opens the door back lower. This nice little pattern we've had kind of broken down. So, when we look at this week and we go into it, this candle right here is the first one you watch that low. You watch that 739.51. If you can hold there, if you came in and you held right there for whatever reason, right? That would be a good sign. And so we'll go put alert there. Montas, right? That would be good. All right. If you can't hold there, then you start opening the door and you start looking into this range down here towards the 730 area, and then eventually maybe come down and don't test this 5% pullback again. Lower than that would indicate there's bigger problems. To the upside, you got to reclaim the moving averages, the 50-day, the 21-day, and the 8-day. We had looked so good until we broke down with that gap down on Friday. All right, so you got to reclaim this level. So if you want to be safe, you want to reclaim 750. So we talk about leadership and the lack thereof it here in this market, and we'll talk about that. The financials, which have been so strong, holding okay. JP Morgan, Goldman, right? Morgan Stanley, all coming in. They all made all-time highs. There's a theme here. Bank of America holding strong. Citigroup looks bad. Wells Fargo, not so great. I know you guys love SoFi. This thing remains stuck and doing nothing. There's really just nothing going on there. The energy sector has been pushing up, but there's no power behind it like last time. ExxonMobil, Chevron, right? There's just nothing going on here that says, Oxy, I really want to be involved in this space. XBI just off the all-time highs coming in, but we've seen some strength in names. Amgen put a new all-time high in. Merck is trying to break out here and looking awfully strong at the moment. J&J is just off its all-time highs. Same thing with Lilly. So there's continued strength in biotech. Gilead, ugly candle there, and Moderna is coming back in after that really big move. No really good reason. You go out and you look around and say what else is going on out there, and names like Coin in the crypto space. If crypto doesn't wake up, these names are going to struggle. Same thing with MSTR and BMNR, right? They look tough. Hood, not Biomin, BMNR. There we go. Hood is a little bit of a different story here. We broke down. This had a very nice upper flag, couldn't break 120. We talked about that at length, and here we are. So you start watching for the 50-day with earnings coming. I mean, it still looks good, but it's come back in this weekend. Let's talk software. IGV, it's hanging in. This sector continues to hold in. Microsoft holding in, couldn't break out last week, tried, came in, but holding okay. Palantir continues to go sideways. Snowflake has been very strong just off that recent high. Names like Crowd put all-time highs in Palo Alto. A lot of strength in the cybersecurity space. Names like Frog have been strong. Path is trying to wake up. Salesforce, right now, who reports this week. There's a lot of hit and miss. Oracle continues to look like hot death, but in another multi-year low down here, and just cannot find a friend. Every time it looks like it wants to bounce, they sell that back off. I know everybody's dying to buy this name, and everybody was dying to buy it all the way up here, and then here, and then here again. And this is just a name they don't want it right now. And in general, they don't want that sector, which remains very, very difficult. So let's talk Mag 7 for a bit before we go onwards here. Let's start off with Amazon. Amazon tried to break out last week and then failed and came back into this range. Meta, I love the name. I love the story. You guys know this, but came and filled this gap. Now bounced strong into the close. I mean, maybe they just wanted to play games and fill it, but I still think this is prime for a bigger move higher. Need to keep an eye on that one. Apple, new all-time highs and remains one of the strongest names out there. Google, not so much, has been absolutely beaten up, and here it is into this 100-day area where it's trying to hold. It held it back here. So these are big spots, right? Again, the point I'm making is there's no leadership. Netflix, for those of you guys who love to give me a hard time on X sometimes and stuff, the guidance wasn't that bad. Guidance was miserable. Their margins are down, their costs are up, their growth is slow. They're just a media company at this point. And I think that's the problem you guys have to get in your head. They're no longer a growth company. They're a media company. They can be fine. There's big, best in class, right? The biggest one out there, but that's all they are. And so many of you guys are thinking this is going to become the Netflix of old. I mean, I don't know what they need to do. Remember, they started off with DVDs direct to your house, which was great. Then they transitioned to streaming. They changed the game on both of those. What they're going to do now to change that again, I don't know, but it's not just getting into the live TV type action. It's got to be something dramatic. And Reed Hastings is basically gone, so they're going to have to find somebody else to drive them. All right, so you get the idea of what's going on here. Disney remains weak, nothing going on there. We've seen some strength in some food names. Safety, maybe. McDonald's, not so much, but Starbucks is trying to break out. Couldn't quite get going. CMG had a decent week. Kava, right? Some strength in some of these names. They didn't hold. They came back in, but they were trying to go. What really has been the driving force behind this market are the SMHs, and I'd like to take it out here for you guys to see. 279 to 671 in a year. So we're getting a pullback of sorts, corrective activity. Pick your term for it. But we're getting that here. So, we have this head and shoulders pattern on a lot of the names in the index itself, and we broke below it, depending on where you want to draw it. You could have drawn it up here around this 668, or you could have drawn it here at 554. Either way, we broke below and we've triggered it. The question is now, are we going to recover and come back up? Friday's candle, if they came for it, they could have broken us lower. Briefly, they did before coming back. Or are they going to drop us down? Now, remember, South Korea is open Monday after being off on Friday. That'll be a big tell. If it wants to come in, you got to start watching levels. You come down into this 527 area. We could try the 100-day at 511. Under that, you could start looking down towards that 200-day. So quite a bit fall if they decide to come. DRAM has triggered, and really, this sell-off is courtesy of the memory names. Micron, head and shoulders pattern triggered under the 50-day. SNDK, same thing. That 100-day looks like it's calling, looks weak. Western Digital and STX already down in those areas. SKHY, the newest member of this group, sitting here and is still going sideways. When you really look around, you look for where's the leadership in the space, and we've kind of lost it. Marble, which had been so strong, look at this move from 329 all the way down to 179 already. We'll talk about a haircut. If it holds the 100-day, these are areas to look at them. Abgo, which has been so strong, continues to sit here on the 200-day despite lots of good news. That gap remains untouched. AMD, which had this beautiful upper little flag, broke down. Try to get back into it on Friday. If it gets back into it, it's a one-day thing, it's okay. If not, coming down here, does it come down and test this 430, 440 area? Does it want to come all the way down lower towards the 100-day? NVIDIA overall remains sideways on holding in better. Intel not looking great going into earnings, also by the 100-day, right? On Semi has been beaten up. Dell has been holding very well, held the 50-day here. NBIS, another one, right? You can see the difference here. These are all in a correction. So when you're looking at everything, this is why the Nasdaq is getting hit much harder because the semis. It's also why the SPY is struggling to do anything. My thesis is this week is really simple. With names like Tesla and Google earnings this week, right? It's really going to look at the semis. If the semis continue to weaken and come in, and this market doesn't find new leadership, the market's going to either continue to come in like the Qs or going to continue to drift sideways like the SPY. If the semis bounce, the markets will lift. So, right now, watch the semis. Whatever they're doing every day, that's going to drive the market. We got no data this week. It's really this week is all about earnings and the semis. So with that said, link description. Would love to have you in the room. Sorry for the lengthy video. I hope it helps. Post some pictures later of Duke on his birthday. I hope you guys have a great, great weekend.